Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Read Aloud Fun. I'm your host, Miss Waymyers, and my guest today, sitting hanging out for the Read Aloud, is Freddie the Frog. Okay, so today, excuse me, get my camera right there. Thank you. Today, we're going to read the book Those Shoes. And this book is written by Mary Beth Bolts and is illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. Now, we're as we approaching time to go back to school, this book is very fitting because it's that time where children are getting new book bags, new shoes, new clothes, and sometimes that we have this long list of wants, but we really have to get what we need first. And sometimes that makes us feel like we're going to be left out. So we're going to explore the difference between wants and needs and making decisions that sometimes might not feel great in the beginning, but the outcome is all so worth it. So, as we have been doing, I'm going to have the questions for the story. You should see them going across the screen now. And we're going to do our read aloud. And after that, we're going to discuss a few project ideas. And then we will wrap up this summer session of Read Aloud Fun. So, once again, let's begin reading Those Shoes. I have dreams about those shoes, black high tops, two white stripes. Grandma, I want them. There's no room for one around here, just need, Grandma says, and what you need are new boots for the winter. Brandon T comes to school in those shoes. He says he's the fastest runner now, not me. I was always the fastest before those shoes came along. Nate comes to school in those shoes. Antonio and I count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom. 7 times in one day, just so he can walk up and down the hall real slow. Next, Alan, Jacoby, and Terrence each get a pair. So those shoes are very popular. Then one day in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes comes apart. Looks like you could use a new pair, Jeremy. Mr. Alfrey, the guidance counselor, says he brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size. Velcro, like the ones my little cousin Marshall wears. They have an animal on them from a cartoon I don't think any kid ever watched. So he's clearly disappointed with that. Now he has to go back to class. And we can see what happens when he does. When I come back to the classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my Mr. Alfred shoes and laughs, and so do Terrence, Brandon T, and everyone else. The only kid not laughing is Antonia Parker. At home, Grandma says, "How kind of Mr. Alfred." I nod and turn my back. I'm not going to cry about any dumb shoes, but when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word looks like the word shoes. And my grip is so tight on my pencil, I think it might bust. On Saturday, Grandma says, "Let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much." I got a little bit of money set aside. Might be enough. You never know. At the shoe store, Grandma turns those shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, she sits down heavy. "Maybe they wrote it down wrong," I say. Grandma shakes her head. So she wants to get him these shoes, but they simply can't afford it. Then I remember the thrift shops. What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his, or got two pairs for Christmas and had to give one of them away? We ride the bus to the first thrift shop. Black cowboy boots, pink slippers, sandals, high heels, every kind of shoes except the ones I want. We ride the bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of those shoes in sight. Around the corner is the third shop. I see something in the window. Black shoes with two white stripes, high tops, perfect shape. $2.50. Those shoes. My heart is pounding hard as I take off my shoes and hitch up my baggy socks. "How exciting," Grandma says. "What size are they?" I shove my foot into the first shoe, curling my toes to get my heel in. I don't know, but I think they fit. Grandma kneels on the floor and feels for my toes at the end of the shoe. "Oh, Jeremy," she says, "I can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit." I pull the other shoe on and try to walk around. "They're okay," I say, holding my breath and praying that my toes will fall off right then and there. But my toes don't fall off. I buy them anyway with my own money. I squeeze them on and limp to the bus stop. At home, a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet and doesn't say a word about my two big feet shuffling around in my two small shoes. "Sometimes shoes stretch," I say. Grandma gives me a hug. Grandma knows that's not so. I check every day, but those shoes don't stretch. I have to wear my Mr. Alfreds to school instead. One day during math, I glance at Antonio's shoes. One of them is taped up, and his feet look smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to think. Antonio is there, the only kid who didn't laugh at my Mr. Alfred shoes. We shoot baskets. A loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoe smacks the concrete every time he jumps. I think I'm not going to do it. We leap off the swings. I'm not going to do it. What is he not going to do? We race from one end of the playground to the other. I'm not going to do it, I say. Do what? Antonio says, breathing hard. Antonio's like, what in the world are you talking about? Grandma calls me for supper and invites Antonio over too. After supper, he spies my shoes. How come you don't wear them? Antonio asks. I shrug. My hands are sweaty. I can feel him wishing those shoes were his. Look how excited Antonio is, like, and wondering, why wouldn't you wear these? You have them. That night, I'm awake for a long time thinking about Antonio. When morning comes, I try on my shoes one last time. Before I change my mind, the shoes are in my coat. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across the street to Antonio's apartment. I put the shoes in front of his door, push the doorbell, and run. At school, Antonio is smiling big in his brand new shoes. I feel happy when I look at his face and mad when I look at my Mr. Alfred shoes. So he's happy for Antonio, but he's certainly not happy for himself. But later, when it's time for recess, something happens. Everywhere there is snow. Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your boots, the teacher announces. Leave your shoes in the hall. It's then I remember what I have in my backpack. New boots. New black boots that no kid has ever worn before. Standing in line to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and says, thanks. I smile and give him a nudge. He performed a very generous act by giving Antonio those shoes, who clearly needed them, not just wanted them. Let's race. And that is the end of the story, Those Shoes. So, Jeremy learns a very valuable lesson and he does a really great thing for his friend. Antonio was his friend and didn't pick at him even though he didn't get those shoes. Now, some creative things that you can do, and like I said, this is a really good book to start off the school year when you're thinking about kids who may be in the position of Jeremy and Antonio. Okay, Jeremy wanted the shoes. Antonio wanted the shoes, but Antonio not only just wanted the shoes, Antonio clearly needed the shoes. Okay. So here's some project ideas you can do with your kids. You can create your own design for an awesome new pair of shoes. They don't have to be tennis shoes. You can label the shoes features. They can make a advertisement, like a PowerPoint, a video, whatever way they want to design it to actually sell these shoes. They can make a list of materials, so you can make lots of different connections to art, to math, even to some science. Another thing you can do is that you could come up with a list of generous acts to perform, like the generous act that Jeremy performs in this book, for family, friends, the community, and then go out and actually perform these acts and challenge some other folks to join you in that. So, again, that was the book, Those Shoes. Now, Fred and I would like to say we really enjoyed doing the Summer Read Aloud series, and we're going to take a little break. So, this is the last episode for a while before we return. We may do some things, maybe during Thanksgiving break, maybe a little bit here and there throughout the school year. And then we'll be revved up for a full load of read alouds for the coming summer. Um, if you would like to see read aloud a little more often during the school year, feel free to drop me a message on my magnificent academics page or my regular Facebook page, and we'll see what we can do. For all of my teacher friends and all of my kid friends, let's have a safe and wonderful school year. Go get them. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye bye for now.